Okay. File item number 3, ladies and gentlemen, SB 593. Senator McGuire, you may present.
Hey, well, good morning, Mr. Chair, and I want to start off by thanking.
Yes, sir.
I want to start out by thanking the chair for all of his work on this piece of legislation. The chair has been putting in many of hours, and I cannot express my gratitude enough, and I'm just very grateful, sir. As well as to the committee staff, Brian in particular, thank you very much for all your work on this bill. Mr. Chair, I have a few words, and also honored to be joined by a few individuals that are going to be providing testimony. Mr. Chair, and good morning, members. Home sharing helps countless Californians to pay their bills and stay in their homes in the state that they love, avoiding foreclosure, spending more time with their families, and pursuing their dreams. And it gives guests the chance to experience the real California, visiting local small businesses in neighborhoods and cities that they wouldn't otherwise visit. And I couldn't agree more with this statement, and this statement may sound familiar, as it is the statement and the message that Airbnb sent to members of this committee. When I was a member of the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors, we worked to create a system that actually increased the number of vacation rentals in our region. And I believe that homeowners should be able to rent their home for short-term vacation rentals. And I believe that the new sharing economy comes with many benefits. This discussion today shouldn't be about, is the sharing economy good or bad? The sharing economy is here to stay. And quite frankly, consumers want the ability to utilize vacation rentals for both business and leisure travel. As with any business that starts up and finds success, there are challenges, and I hope that we can work together collaboratively to tackle the issues associated with home sharing and the impacts countless California communities and neighborhoods have witnessed over the last several years as this industry has taken off. The business of home sharing has evolved from its roots of couch surfing. This is a multi-billion-dollar business now, and our bill is simple. Senate Bill 593 would make online vacation rental businesses follow local laws just like the rest of us. As cities and counties have witnessed, online vacation rental businesses are often about one-way sharing. They share all the benefits of a local community's services, but they often share none of the responsibilities. Local governments are left to shoulder the burden of enforcement and expense associated with this expanding industry. And some background on recent developments related to the home sharing industry. In countless media accounts across this state, there have been stories in both rural and urban areas about the challenges associated with vacation rentals. While many vacation rental hosts are simply trying to pay their bills and follow local laws, there are exceptions in every industry. These exceptions are very costly to the communities that we all represent. Families being woken up in the middle of the night by a rowdy party of intoxicated revelers, strangers walking through the front yards of neighbors of all hours, a steady stream of strangers ringing the buzzer of surrounding apartment units. In cities, management companies are buying up hundreds of apartments or condos in what was a traditional neighborhood and renting them out as lodging units, which leads to significant conflict due to congested streets, lack of parking, and full-time residents having to deal with a new hotel popping up in their neighborhood, not to mention the loss of affordable housing units for working families and seniors. And to top it all off, in many cases, these online vacation rental businesses are operating in violation of local laws. When illegal rentals happen or when legal rentals aren't paying their fair share of tourist taxes, as defined by laws in 431 California cities and 56 counties, it unfairly degrades the quality of life in our communities, depriving the rest of us of the funds we need to maintain safe neighborhoods, smooth streets, and clean parks. It also undermines local choice by allowing multi-billion-dollar corporations to disregard the local laws that the rest of us have to live by on a daily basis. And We can't choose the laws we want to abide by, and corporations should not be able to choose the laws they want to abide by and the laws they don't. This bill is simple. It will help restore fairness in our communities. All this proposed legislation would do is make online vacation rental businesses follow local laws that have already been adopted by our city councils and our board of supervisors. That's it. No new taxes are being proposed. Specifically, if a county or a city allows listings for vacation rental properties and has a tourist tax, then the bill requires the online vacation rental business to collect the tax, as it's spelled out in the local law. For example, there are existing tourist taxes in the city of Los Angeles, in Anaheim, the city of San Jose, city of San Diego, and cities up and down the North Coast. And currently, homeowners are unfairly required to collect these taxes. This is a burden to local homeowners, many of whom are simply trying to be able to pay their mortgage, and it should be the corporation who collects the local tourist tax. The second part of this law, if a city or county has made vacation rentals illegal per local ordinance, like in Seal Beach in Southern California or in Sausalito in Northern California, it gives those communities a state law that they can use to enforce the prohibition with appropriate fines. Those fines increase the longer an online business ignores the law. In most cases, online vacation rental businesses are ignoring the laws, many of which have been on the books for years, if not decades. The burden of enforcement of local laws is on the local jurisdiction, and that's the important piece to point out today. The burden of enforcement will never be on the platform. Per the text in this proposed legislation, the city must notify the platform of their local ordinance that prohibits vacation rentals via writing, and the platform has 30 days to correct any issues. The platform then has two choices: stop booking altogether in the specific city, like Seal Beach or Sausalito, and yes, the technology is out there to complete this task, or have the city send a letter to each of those homeowners via their code enforcement division. The platform would have to provide the home business address of the vacation rental owners who are operating in defiance of the local law. The biggest problem, though, cities and counties have across California relating to online vacation rental businesses is enforcing their laws, because folks just don't register for the tourist tax. The information being requested via this bill is already in existing local laws in the majority of the 431 cities and 56 counties that have tourist tax laws on the books. In Sonoma County, for example, we have spent $250,000 over the last 2 years to enforce our ordinance. 250 grand. We've been inundated with neighborhood concerns, loud parties, intoxicated revelers, and strangers roaming through yards. And we have been working very closely with the California State Association of Counties and League of Cities to ensure provisions in this bill respect local control, which is why you'll be hearing both groups speaking on behalf of the bill, some with amendments, this morning. And since this last hearing in Senate Transportation and Housing, which saw the bill move with an 8-0 vote in support, there's been a lot of discussion about privacy. And first off, this bill does not deal with consumers or consumer information whatsoever. It does not require anyone to divulge the names or any information about consumers or guests who rent lodging through a vacation rental platform. The bill simply requests the home business address, number of nights stayed, and total amount paid for the quarter. This is the same information being required by the majority of California cities and counties in their local laws right now, and it's the same information that thousands of law-abiding Californians are providing local jurisdictions when they pay the bed tax that is required by the city or county in which they live in. There is no invasion of privacy with Senate Bill 593. Nowhere does this bill require any host to provide any personally identifiable information about guests to any government agency. Furthermore, a few points. Within the terms of service for many platforms, including HomeAway, Vacation Rental by Owner, and Airbnb, the platforms state that at their discretion, and have this right here for you right now, and Mr. Chair, just have visuals if you'd like hard copies. At their discretion, the hosts authorize the platforms to provide information to local governments relating to the collection of tourist taxes or administrative proceedings. So, right now, there's a 33-page document prior to participating, for example, in Airbnb, that a host has to sign and agree to. They agree to potentially having their home address and their names, and guest information being released. This bill does not ask for any guest information. In fact, home business address, number of room nights stayed, and room rate. And looking at the privacy terms hosts have to agree to prior to participating in the Airbnb service, we'll go to the next board, the language states, and I quote, Airbnb can track your behavior on our own platform to market and advertise our services on the platform and third-party websites. They will also make their tracking technologies to their business partners. Again, we're not asking for any online behavior that is currently happening on any of the platform sites, like is currently in the privacy policy of Airbnb, that they will track and potentially sell online behavior. By signing both the privacy form as well as the terms of service form, you have signed away your privacy and the privacy of guests. In addition, vacation rental platforms are already providing the federal government with extremely sensitive information on their hosts via mandated 1099-K forms. These forms require a social security number, first and last name, phone number, annual income from their home business address, etc. So in our next piece right here, this is the federal 1099-K form. There are 13 fields of information related to what a host will have to report. We're only asking for 3 fields. We're asking for the street address, city or town, and how much they generated each month. The City of Portland already requires all platforms to provide the home business address, number of nights, and total amounts collected to be given to the city in order to uphold their ordinance. Finally, having met with representatives from various vacation rental platforms and heard their concerns related to disclosing host home business address information, we're proposing language vetted through council that would protect all host data. The data can only be used by the city and county receiving the report for tax and zoning administration and is not subject to the California Public Records Act request. Additionally, claims related to Proposition 218 concerns, this bill has nothing to do about raising local taxes, and all tax authority remains with the city and county of origin. Finally, as written, this bill covers the vast majority of transactions that take place via online vacation rental businesses. Any consumer that submits payment through their online portal, the tourist tax can be collected and remitted to cities and counties. As the chairman has smartly pointed out, there is still a segment of vacation rentals where payment is not collected through the website. We'll call these classified listings. In this case, as the chairman has accurately suggested, we should include a business license or a certificate number for those units who use the classified listings, along with a disclaimer that all users must pay the local tourist tax on the site. The number must be placed on the listing itself prior to going live on the website. To close, Mr. Chair, this bill is all about local control and providing the local cities and counties we all represent with the tools they need to uphold their local ordinances. It's frankly disingenuous for any online vacation rental business to knowingly provide and profit from listings by business partners that are prohibited by law, which is why we are only proposing to collect home business address, number of room nights, and room rate. I have with me today, Mr. Chair, distinguished panel. We have Mayor Lindsay Horvath of West Hollywood, Councilwoman Gleam Davis of Santa Monica, Police Chief Adam McGill from the Truckee City Police Department, Liza Graves, co-founder of Beautiful Places, a realty company in Sonoma, California, and also for technical assistance, we have Guy Fusion of the Sacramento County Department of Finance and the Tax Collector's Office. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and committee.
Who wants to start?
Please.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and committee members. I'm glad to be here in support of Senator McGuire's SB 593, the Thriving Communities and Sharing Economy Act, as introduced by Senator McGuire, would provide cities like West Hollywood additional tools to enforce the decisions we make at the local level for our city. SB 593 would also authorize cities, including the City of West Hollywood, to establish a fine or penalty on an operator of a hosting platform that facilitates short-term rentals for a knowing violation of city ordinances, which is important because enforcement takes place at the local level. SB 593 is a good tool that preserves local control by recognizing the abilities of cities to adopt the best policies around land and business uses according to local community standards. First, the City of West Hollywood is unique for many reasons, first of which the number one source of revenue for our city is the TOT tax. So we're very concerned in general about the impact of the shared economy, including short-term rental businesses, for our city's long-term future. However, that's why we've been proactive in addressing the impacts of these businesses by creating a shared economy task force and evaluating the impacts directly on our cities. Number two, our city was founded on rent control. We have a rent stabilization ordinance that protects existing affordable options for housing in our city. While you may hear emotionally compelling testimony about the need for affordable housing, that's exactly why local control is essential. It is our responsibility. It is my responsibility as the mayor of West Hollywood to continue to create affordable housing in my community, and we can do that with local control. In closing, I have authored a resolution in support of SB 593, and said resolution will be part of our City Council's agenda for Monday, May 18th. Once the Council takes an official position on SB 593, we will share a copy of that resolution with Senator McGuire as well as the committee. So I urge you to support SB 593. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Adam McGill, Police Chief for the Town of Truckee. I'm speaking on behalf of the California Police Chiefs Association. We support this bill. Short-term rentals and companies like Airbnb and others are important to a diversified economy, and we're not opposed to them, but believe each community is different, and local control over business activities in our cities is essential. As an example, nearly half of our housing units in Truckee are second homes. Many are used for short-term rentals, and despite our best efforts, we estimate only 30% of those that we believe exist are complying with our TOT ordinance. Most are responsible renters and business operators, but as the Senator indicated, a number of them can be problematic and change the dynamic of a neighborhood. Some are significant drains on city services and become neighborhood nuisances, impacting the quality of life for neighbors who at one time had a normal residential experience and now turned into a business operating within that neighborhood that may or may not have even been zoned for such activities. Local control of this activities allows cities to address these issues in the manner best for their community culture. Additionally, the lost TOT revenues from having a proliferation of platform-facilitated rentals negatively affects our budgets by not providing TOT to offset the additional burden to public safety services and other city services. Not knowing where these businesses operate, occur that are in our neighborhoods makes it difficult for public safety, such as police and fire, to properly staff, not knowing what the capacity of our population will be on any given day or particularly a weekend or holiday experience. This bill will aid in the enforcement of our local rules. Additionally, the bill will help mitigate the extra traffic on our roads and in our residential areas that are not designed to accommodate the type of increased number of guests that occasionally block emergency access, driveways, fire hydrants, these types of things. It's not unusual to see a listing in a regular, normal-looking home of 1,600 square feet or something similar. It says something to the effect of sleeps 20. And the home is just not, or the neighborhood's not prepared for do that. Thank you for consideration of this bill, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. My name is Gleam Davis. I'm a member of the Santa Monica City Council. Just last night, by a unanimous vote, 7-0, the Santa Monica City Council adopted an ordinance regulating home sharing, vacation rentals, and what we call house swapping in Santa Monica. And I'm here to thank Senator McGuire for introducing Senate Bill 593 because we believe it greatly complements the ordinance we adopted just last night. Although vacation rentals of less than 30 days have been illegal in Santa Monica for a number of years, we've not been able to enforce our laws with that regard because we have lacked the appropriate tools to do so. And for that reason, we've also been unable to collect appropriate transient occupancy tax. SB 593 reinforces our ability to collect information from the sharing platforms in order to make sure that our local rules are being complied with, and to allow us to gives us the tools to enforce the new law that we enacted last night. This will ensure that our residential neighborhoods, we are a desirable tourist neighborhood, will be protected against the destabilizing influence of these vacation rentals, and also give us the opportunity to collect transient occupancy tax, which we can use to fund important services such as public safety. As Mayor Horvath explained, each city is unique, and one of the things that we appreciate about the bill is that it allows each city to enact an ordinance that is appropriate for its own locality and meets its own needs. And so we really do appreciate Senator McGuire's thoughtfulness. It gives us the tools to enforce our ordinance, but also gives us the ability to create a local ordinance that will suit Santa Monica, which might not suit another locality. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And again, we want to reiterate our support for Senate Bill 593.
Thanks for coming up. You got a question for Senator Pavley?
Nice to see you, Senator Pavley.
District. Did you touch on, Gleam, the implications this has with your rent control laws and providing affordable housing in your areas? Is this this bill would help you do that?
Of course, absolutely. As you may know, Santa Monica has been on the forefront of early adoption of a rent control ordinance, and we have, we believe, the strongest rent control ordinance in the state. Unfortunately, due to the proliferation of vacation rentals, we are finding that many of our rent control units are being converted into de facto hotel units, where people are taking a rent control unit with a reduced rent and then charging quite literally thousands of dollars per night for that unit in the vacation rental market. What that obviously does is two things. It destabilizes the neighborhoods generally, but it makes it harder for us to maintain affordable housing. Santa Monica has the highest housing prices in the entirety of Los Angeles County, and so when an affordable rental unit comes off the market and becomes a de facto hotel unit, that greatly impacts our ability to maintain workers in our city and to maintain middle-class security within our city. So
and
it has
a with the housing element in your general plan.
Absolutely. In fact, last night we were looking at our federal requirements with HUD, and our ability to meet those requirements is dependent on our ability to not only maintain our existing affordable housing stock, but develop new affordable housing stock, and that means making sure that new units are not taken off the market and used as de facto vacation rentals.
But can I just have one point of clarification, Senator Pavley, on this regard? Because this is something that concerned me tremendously, because in our community in Los Angeles, Lane came up with this report that certainly caught my attention that talked about this larger issue. And also the senator brought up to my attention the issue of New York. You've got big users of doing this stuff. You've got people where the markets are huge, particularly in areas like your community that are highly desirable and the like. And you know, I think that there should be some discussion of that, because that's a big issue. But specifically in the conversations with the author, the purpose of this measure is not to deal with that. It's to be very limited. This is a much larger subject, and certainly the whole larger discussion of the shared economy raises these very important issues, particularly communities like yours where you're so desirable. But specifically, it's not intended to deal with that.
But it allows local governments to address that.
Right. The local governments will ultimately address it. It gives information, but yeah, you're right. I just want to make sure, because I think it should.
Mr. Chair, if I can point out, that Lane report was part of the impetus to the ordinance that we passed last night, and we are hoping and certainly offer our assistance to any other localities that would like to take a look at our ordinance and use it as a potential model to try and preserve their affordable housing stock. We think we have threaded the needle quite well. I can say that with some pride. We are going to be adopting rules and regulations, and certainly we'd be willing to share any work work we do in that regard with any community that would desire that information. But one of the things we like about this bill is it recognizes one size does not fit all for every community, and so it allowed us to adopt and create an ordinance that hopefully will not be preempted by state law that meets Santa Monica's needs, but there may be another community that has different needs.
Senator Hernandez.
Yeah. I want to follow up on both the comments, and obviously I have some concerns as well, and maybe comment on your opening remark about how this is for individuals who have homes, who want to make a little extra money, help with their mortgage payment. But at what point do we have somebody that's going to rent their house 1 or 2 days a week in Santa Monica, it's got an ocean view, to that house renting it, 365 days out of the year? And I know this bill doesn't address that, but that's a concern, because if that's the case, and we're going to now change homes to part-time rental through these rental facilities to becoming, like you said, permanent hotels, and then that's going to change the entire zoning for that particular area. I mean, that's the concern I have. I mean, when do we have that conversation? Is that in this bill? I mean, so it's just a concern that's starting to come that I have. So maybe you can address it.
Thank you so much, Senator Hernandez. Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, I think this is a concern to city leaders and county leaders throughout the state of California. What this bill does is essentially partner with cities and counties to be able to provide them the information they need to be able to enforce their local laws or ordinances that are already on the books. So currently, it is very difficult to be able to understand how many vacation rentals are in your community because no one reports them. If we take a look at communities up and down the coast, the vast majority of vacation rentals are not going through the city or county for registration. They're going directly through the user's site. So what this bill does is provide 2 areas for information. One, to be able to collect the bed tax, home business address, room nights, room rate, or on the Santa Monica side, to be able to give them home business address to be able to properly enforce their local law that's already on the books. That gets to your point of making sure that there continues to be affordable housing for working families. And
So let me follow up on that. So in another opening statement you made, you gave an example of Seal Beach that doesn't allow this particular type of rental to occur. So what happens if, let's say in Santa Monica, that the city council finds out that house number 2 on the block is renting in way too many times per year, and then do you have the authority then to prohibit that house from renting anymore? And then how do you stop a internet site company that's based somewhere out from, and where is the teeth for that entity not to rent to it? So how do you stop that individual then?
That's a great question. So the way this would work is, so let's just use Seal Beach. We'll use 2 examples. So we'll use Seal Beach or Sausalito. So in Seal Beach or in Sausalito in the north, they do not allow for vacation rentals. So I'll use Sausalito. They've had their law on the books for several years. Currently, there is a large number of vacation rentals in Sausalito as well as Seal Beach. The city doesn't know who has a vacation rental, who doesn't, because they don't have the ability to be able to collect the information. So what this would do, and what this bill does, is every quarter, the information is provided to the city from the platforms to be able to enforce their ordinance. So for example, if we use Airbnb, Airbnb provides the home business address to Santa Monica, and their code enforcement officer will be able to go out and enforce their local law that was set by the city council. Or in the case of Seal Beach, or in the case of Sausalito, the platform could also simply choose not to book within that jurisdiction. But the bottom line is, the onus is on the local officials in code enforcement, but they have to have the data to be able to enforce their local laws, and that's the biggest loophole. Cities can't, or counties don't know who's in or who's out.
Right, and if I can, Senator, one of the So, for example, our local ordinance includes both civil and criminal fines and penalties for people who violate the local ordinance. But obviously, in this sort of situation, enforcement is the biggest question. So this bill gives us tools to get the information we need in order to be able to enforce our laws. One of the things we did at the same time that we adopted this ordinance last night was authorize our city manager to find room in the budget for 3 enforcement officers. But that's going to be handled at the local level because, in all honesty, that's the way we prefer to do it. We think we know what's best in terms of trying to enforce our local ordinances. What we've done in Santa Monica, as I said, is for years we have banned vacation rentals of less than 30 days in private homes. What we have tried to do, because we understand some people have been struggling in this economy, is we allow what we call home sharing. So if the owner of the premises is on site, they can, for example, rent out a room in their home. So a retired widow, for example, might be able to make a little extra money, but she would have to be on site. She cannot abandon the site and leave it to rentals. And then, for example, we completely exempt home swapping. We have a lot of academics in our particular area because of our proximity to Santa Monica College, UCLA, and they frequently do home swaps, which involve no exchange of money over the summer. So we've crafted an ordinance that we think meets Santa Monica's needs, but this gives us the tools, the information we need to then use the code enforcement officers to go out and make sure that people are not violating the ordinance that we think meets our needs.
So the civil penalties would be against the homeowner then?
They could be against the platform as well because we intend,
So
right,
it would be the platform.
right, we intend to put requirement, we have a requirement, for example, in our ordinance that the platform notify anyone that registers with the platform about our local laws so that the homeowner cannot be blindsided by not being in compliance without knowing about it. If the platform fails to do that, there could be a fine or penalty involved with that. If they don't provide us with the requested information.
Right.
That sort of thing.
This measure, the fines are against the platform as proposed in the legislation. If we get the further additional witnesses.
We have Liza Graves.
Yes. Sorry, what a question? Oh, Senator Morlock had a question. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Quick question for the
Of
mayor.
course, sir.
What is your TOT rate?
Ours is 14%.
And what is the trend for the last 5 years in your revenues?
It's actually, we've been very lucky. We have a number of very successful hotels, so it has been upwards, although like many cities in California, we've been hit by the recession. And so we have, challenges. We have challenges, but we're lucky we're in the black. But our TOT has been going up, if not as quickly as we might hope, it has been going up. We have a very high or very low vacancy rate within our hotels.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee for the opportunity to share my views and support of SB 593. My name is Liza Graves, and I'm the president and co-founder of Beautiful Places, which is a vacation rental company located in Sonoma County. Our company has been a leader in the home sharing and vacation rental industry since 2003. We have served thousands and thousands of vacation rental guests and collected and paid nearly $1.5 million in TOT to the County of Sonoma during that time period. We're also members of a national organization called the Vacation Rental Managers Association. And this organization has a very strong code of ethics that I wish everyone in this industry would adapt. Members agree to scrupulously abide by all state and local laws, and members agree not to seek unfair advantage over competitors. Wouldn't the business world be great if everyone followed that? And let's set the record straight on something. There is nothing new about home sharing. How many of you took a vacation with your family when you were young and stayed in a private home someplace? It's been around for decades. Home sharing is not new, and there's nothing new about taxing. There's nothing new about taxing homestays.
Oh, God.
Many communities have taxed this type of usage for decades. So this isn't something that just came about in the last few years. And as many have pointed out, this bill does not change any local laws regarding transient occupancy. It merely gives local communities the tools to enforce those laws. And it's, again, disingenuous for anybody to try to scare homeowners into thinking that this bill is going to take that right away if it already exists in their community.
Thank you.
Many players in the industry believe that this bill will help to create a level playing field and reduce unfair competition. There are many of us that abide by the local laws. We issue the 1099s. We pay our employees a fair wage. We don't pay housekeepers under the table. We pay payroll taxes. And we want a level playing field. We also believe that we have to play a role in contributing positively to the neighborhoods and communities throughout California that vacation rentals and homestays operate in. And we all suffer when businesses and individuals choose to ignore the law. And while online hosting platforms do contribute to the success of our industry, we're all hurt when they act as though long-established laws and regulations simply don't apply to them or the people that use their services.
We got a lot of witnesses. If you can just tell us the highlights, I'd appreciate it.
So thank you.
A ton of folks. Thank you so much. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, Senators, Terry Brennan on behalf of SEIU California and former couch surfers everywhere in support of 593. There is no fiscal estimate in this bill because it's hard to tell how many people are participating in this, but it's the fastest growing part of our accommodations industry. And at this point, if just 1 out of every 10 stays were diverted or took advantage of this to a place that didn't pay their transient occupancy tax, there'd be $150 million missing from the local economies to pay for peace officers, firefighters, parks and recs people, all the public employees that make these safe and beautiful communities to visit. And for that reason, we're in support of the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, John Lovell on behalf of the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers, the Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the Riverside Sheriffs Association, the California College and University Police Chiefs Association, and the California Narcotic Officers Association, all in support.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Brian Allison on behalf of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, also in strong support.
Thank you.
John Caldwell on behalf of the California Hotel and Lodging Association in support. In answer to a point raised by Senator Hernandez, the Attorney General of the state of New York subpoenaed the records of Airbnb for the city of...
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The Attorney General of the state of New York subpoenaed the records of Airbnb for the city of New York. And what they found was, one of the things they found was something called commercial users. We're not just talking about somebody renting out a room of their house. What we're talking about, in the case of the city of New York, they found 12 hosts who had 800 rooms. Some of them had as many as 270 rooms. These are hotels. But what's happening is they're setting up, they're not being regulated, they're not paying the taxes, and they're being told they have a right to privacy. So all this bill does is allows the cities and counties to find out who these large commercial users are.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Armand Feliciano on behalf of the Association of California Insurance Companies. We are working with Senator McGuire, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Kira Ross on behalf of the Marin County Council of Mayors and Council Members in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. Dorothy Holzen with the California State Association of Counties. Pleased to be in support. Thank you.
Dan Carrig on behalf of the League of California Cities. We appreciate the author's work on this issue. We have a support if amended position. We've shared those amendments with the author. I know the consultant also has a copy of those. Basically, what we're trying to make sure is this bill has the effect of bolstering local authority. We do believe we do have existing authority. We want to make sure it's not curtailed in any way, but we appreciate the author's efforts.
There you go, because I talked to the author with respect to the Senator McGuire on this amendment, because there's a number of sets of amendments that have been delivered to us. And my specific understanding is, unless you have some, I just want to be clear here, that you are not accepting these amendments. This is basically, cities want the bill only to apply jurisdictions that opt in, and you thought that wouldn't work. So I just want to clarify that we have a moment, whatever that is.
What we had said is that we're not going to be taking these amendments in this committee. We're going to continue to work with the League of Cities, but you're absolutely right. The League of Cities is also aware of that we were not going to take them in this committee.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead, please. Huh? I just got a copy of one last night, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get that to you.
I mean, basically, I just got a summary of them from staff that they want an opt-in provision, that their amendments expand local enforcement provisions and penalties, but that it's really about the actual cities controlling and making the determination if they want to apply to this or not. Is that a fair understanding? Okay.